So you're thinking about starting your own private practice. You're trying to determine whether or not you should go that route, or maybe you should give it a little bit more time. And it's a tough decision. But in this video, I'm going to be going over 5 reasons why you shouldn't start your own private practice. But relax, I'm going to give you ways for you to help prepare yourself in order for you to do so. So let's get started. Welcome back to the channel, LifeofaPsychNP. If you are new to this channel, let me formally introduce myself. I'm Darty. I'm a board-certified psychiatric nurse practitioner, and in this channel, I go over several different subjects to educate the public about mental health, ways to improve your lifestyle, topics related to nursing, nurse practitioners, and specifically psychiatric nurse practitioners like myself. So if you are interested in any of these topics, feel free to subscribe. Make sure you like this video because it helps me out so much with the algorithm, and follow me on Instagram at LifeofaPsychNP. So you probably clicked this video because you're interested in starting your own private practice, but you're on the fence on whether or not you should do it or not. And if you've come from my previous video on why you should start your own private practice, I wanted to make this video to kind of compare on why you shouldn't start your own private practice today. But let's give it a little bit more time. I'll teach you ways for you to prevent these things, and maybe certain things that if you know that these apply to you, then maybe it's not right for you to start your own private practice today, and to give it a little bit more time. But if you've come from my previous video, then you're wanting to do it, and you're 100% gung-ho wanting to start your own private practice, then definitely check my link down below, especially if you're a psychiatric nurse practitioner wanting to start your own telepsych practice. Link is down below for my course, and like I said, I am running a special right now for you guys for your discount, and before my price goes up, right now as I'm recording this video, it's September 25th, so in a couple of weeks that price is going to go up tremendously, so you definitely want to take advantage of it now. And before we get started on this video, you want to make sure you stay until the very end of the video, because I'm going to be going over my main reason on why you shouldn't start your own private practice today, and help you get some tips to kind of prepare yourself if you eventually do want to do it. So without further ado, let's go over my 5 reasons on why you shouldn't start your own private practice today, and why you should give it a little bit more time. So let's go. So the very first reason on why you shouldn't start your own private practice today is you have no experience. So a lot of people are coming out of school, freshly graduated, freshly finished boards and graduated. Congratulations to those, by the way. But they're wanting to start their own private practice. They think they're ready. They think they've learned everything during their clinical rotation. They think they know how to treat patients, which may be true. I'm not saying they don't, but at the end of the day, there's something to understand that you need experience. There will be those one-offs where people will get experience, or they'll be able to start their own private practice right away. But if you're gonna do so, you wanna make sure that you have a mentor on board, that you're willing to either pay for their time or let them be part of your group, or whatever the case is, because you wanna be able to have someone that you can bounce ideas off of in case anything arises that you can't or not prepared for, because we can't tell what's going to happen, right? We can't expect certain things that we know that are going to happen, and maybe we might not be prepared for. So you always want to make sure that you have some experience. The reason why I stress experience is because you want to be able to treat your patients appropriately. Yes, you want to provide them with care, provide them with the highest quality of care, but you don't want to go into a situation where you have no idea what you're doing and you're just going to be reckless about it. And I think experience is a huge thing. Gain at least 2 years of experience, and then think about being a private practice owner and starting on your own, because those 2 years you're going to learn so much. And especially if you can get a good mentor within that practice that can teach you maybe the business side of things, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to transition. But the biggest thing is I want you to get experience today, and at least for 2 years, to be able to treat the different type of patients and the different type of disease processes and different methods of being able to come up with certain things. Yes, you can go based off of a decision tree, but there's always going to be a case where you're gonna be stumped and not know necessarily what to do. So that's why you always want to make sure you get experience, because the more encounters that you're gonna have, the more experience you're gonna have to be able to treat all these patients, especially with those more difficult cases. And if you're like, alrighty, but you don't want to start, or you don't want to get experience, and you just want to get started because you want to be able to hit a certain time frame, especially as potential oversaturation may occur, then get a good mentor or business partner, someone that's already a provider that you can talk to every single day to build up your practice, and in case any of these cases do arise, because at the end of the day you want to make sure you're prepared. And at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing, because liability is huge, and ultimately you're going to be the decision maker, right? If this is your private practice, you're going to be the one treating patients, and if something were to go down, knock on wood, it doesn't, you're liable for it. So definitely think about it. The more experience you get, the better prepared you are, especially being able to treat patients. And that's the whole part of the actual clinic or the private practice, is for you to treat patients with high quality care. And if you don't have the experience to do so, then you're doing your patients a disservice. So think about it. But like I said, experience is key, or get a mentor. So the second reason on why you shouldn't start your own private practice today is because you want to make a lot of money. And let's face it, yes, there's opportunities out there, and there are people making good amount of money out there, but you have to think about how they got there, right? And it doesn't all just happen at once. You start your own private practice, and a month later, you're making bukus of money and making so much money that you don't know what to do with it. But you have to think about, there is a process. It doesn't just happen all at once, and sometimes it might not even happen, and sometimes people are just breaking even. But obviously the opportunities and all the pros of having your private practice may outweigh those cons, but it's something to think about, and it's not something that you're just gonna be making a lot of money. And I know some private practices are out there that they're spending way more money than they're making, and it's starting to become way less of a way more of a hassle compared to just working for somebody else. And if all you're thinking about is, oh, I'm gonna make so much money by having my private practice, wrong. That is not even the case, because there's so many different factors that go into it. You could have the best business plan possible, but if you can't get patients into your door, how are you gonna make that money? And you need to make sure that preparation is key. But you can be the most prepared person in the whole entire world, but you still might not make it out there. So it's definitely something you have to think about, especially if your main mindset is, oh, I want to make so much money because that's the reason why I want to start my private practice. Wrong. That's not the case. And yeah, trust me, it's sometimes you're in the red for a long time, and you just have to kind of deal with it and just keep on pushing, and hopefully you get to a point where you're very profitable. But sometimes people don't make it, and that's why many private practices fail, because of that mindset they have and lack of preparation, or just freaking luck. You don't know, just dumb luck where these practices might blow up because of that dumb luck, or just something bad happening and them not making it and having to ultimately shut down. So definitely think about it if this is your main thing on why you want to do it. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of the day, best thing you can do is just to be able to prepare and expect certain things of not happening or happening, and just constantly evolving, and hopefully one day you'll be in a situation where you're far more profitable. So the third reason on why you shouldn't start your own private practice today as a nurse practitioner is if you hate the business and marketing side of things. And hate to break it to you, but this is what we do, and this is pretty much all we do. Yes, you go into it wanting to provide the highest quality of care possible, which you could, especially with experience and being able to do so, but that's not all it's you have to focus on business and marketing. And if you hate business, if you hate talking to people, you hate marketing yourself, you hate reaching out to people, and you hate numbers, then it might not be the best thing for you, because that's all we do. We talk about numbers. We talk about how we can improve our quality of care, how we're going to be able to hire more providers, how we're going to be able to implement certain things into our practice, how we're going to be able to network to be able to get more patients, how we're going to be able to help and succeed by being able to reach out to so many different people in order for us to run our business. And at the end of the day, yes, you can be the best provider in the whole entire world, but if you can't get the patients into your door through marketing or through being able to improve your business aspect of certain things, how are you going to make it? You're just going to be putting way more money into something that you can't even sustain. And if you hate those side of things, you absolutely dread it, then don't do it. But if you're someone that hates it just because they don't know about it or they haven't learned about it and they just automatically think, oh, I hate it because you don't know about it, then you have a good shot of being able to understand and potentially love it. In the beginning, I went into having a private practice because I wanted to be able to promote and have a better work-life balance. I loved wanting the business side of things and I was curious, but at the same time, I always told myself, oh, I hate marketing, I'm not gonna do it, and I absolutely don't wanna talk to other people, but it's because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't learn about it, and once I started to learn more and more about all these intricacies of marketing and how we can utilize other things like the internet and social media and all of those things, then I started making me excited about it and making me want to do it more and more and more, and that's where I'm at now, and I absolutely love it. I didn't like it in the beginning, but I'm liking it now. But like I said, if you know, you already understand the information, how to do it, and you still hate it and you still have no intent of wanting to do that side of things, then maybe this might not be for you, or maybe hire someone that absolutely loves that part of things and you focus in on just providing care. So those are options. And speaking of marketing and ways to kind of be able to do so, improving that marketing side of things, in our course we do go over so many different ways to improve your marketing and to be able to enhance the process of being able to get patients into your actual office. And we go over that in detail, and we spend a good chunk of the course going over that, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure we can market in order to get patients into our door to be able to provide them with that high quality of care. So the fourth reason on why you shouldn't start your own private practice today as a nurse practitioner is you want to keep your life and work balanced out and separate. And this is a huge one, because not many people want to be able to implement certain things that are part of their work into their life, and they want to keep it separate. So when you clock out, that's all you have to think about is just whatever you're doing. And when you clock in, that's when you're just thinking about just work alone. So you want to be able to separate that, and that's totally fine. It's perfectly fine to be able to want to separate that. So like I said, when you're at work, that's all you're thinking about. You're not thinking about the life balance or whatever. Just you're at work and all you're thinking about is work, and that's all you have to care about. And once you clock out, you don't have to think about work anymore. And with having your own private practice, that's completely the difference, right? Because a lot of the things are starting to mesh, because once you have your own private practice, you're thinking about, okay, your patients are your patients. It's not like you can just clock out and someone else is going to take care of them, and then when you clock back in, then you're going to be able to take care of them. No, it's you are going to be having to be able to implement those things. Obviously, there's certain things that you can do to be able to separate it, but for the most part, you're thinking about implementing everything, because even when you're at home, you're thinking about how potential patients or new patients or existing patients can still contact you, whether it's through email or whether it's through text messaging, if you allow that. All of these things, basically what I'm saying is you're gonna have to think about that, them blending in together. It's not where you can just separate it 100%. Even when you're on vacation, you're having to think about the practice, because who's being able to help with the refills? Who's gonna be answering the calls? Who's gonna be able to redirect the patient to someone else? You have to think about all of those things, and if that's something you do not want to do, then it might not be right for you to start your own private practice. But like I said, there's always ways to help with that. Certain ways, like say for example, you don't want to always have to be on call. You don't always want to be able to answer all the phone calls from the very beginning of the day to the end of the day, then that's maybe where you'll hire someone to answer those phone calls, or having a call center to answer those after hour calls, or having an email that's going to automatically direct to you via voice message, so you can be able to check it right away instead of you constantly being on your email just refreshing. There's obviously different ways, or maybe even getting a partner involved that's going to be able to help you out in order for you to take that load while you're on vacation, and when they're on vacation you do those things. And there's always ways around it. I'm not going to say it's a clear cut, oh, you can't start it because you don't want to do those things, but it's always something you have to think about, because at the end of the day, this is your practice. It's not someone else's practice. This is your practice. You have to care for your patients. And like I said, you want to be able to keep your patients, but the more and more patients are just starting to fall through the cracks to the point where you're not being able to reach them out, or you're not calling them back, or you're not emailing them back, then those patients are just going to end up leaving. And we live in a world today where people have choices, and you want to be that number one choice where they can refer people to. But if you know you're not going to be able to do that, and you know you don't want to be able to take your work home with you, then it's going to be more difficult to do so. But like I said, there's different options out there, but if it's something you're like, nope, I don't want to do it, then maybe it might not be right for you. So my fifth and final point on why you shouldn't start your own private practice today as a nurse practitioner is, and the one you've been waiting for, is you want to be able to be mentally, financially ready. And when I say that is because there are going to be so many ups and downs. Like with life, there's not an upwards trajectory the whole entire time. Yes, there are a few lucky people that do have that, but there are always going to be moments in life where there's going to be ups and downs. And if you're not ready mentally to deal with this, and you feel like it's just going to cause way more issues in your life, then maybe it's not the right time to do it now. Maybe in the future, but not now. And same thing with finances. If you're going into it thinking, like, for the second reason on, maybe I just want to do it for the money, I'm so much in debt, I need to do it for the money, make all this money so I can pay off my debt and boom, upwards, then this might not be the right time for you also. Because if you're not financially stable to do so, because like I said, with emotions, there are always going to be some ups and downs. In the beginning, you might have just that jump from 10K profit, 20K profit, 30K profit, or whatever it is, but you're going to have months where you're in the red because you're thinking about now taxes, you're thinking about costs to buy things, maybe costs to be able to hire people, maybe building costs, all these other costs there, and not necessarily knowing that you need to be able to get all of those things in place and be stable in those main areas. Because let's face it, it's difficult, especially being a business owner. And being a business owner, that's why a lot of people don't do it, is because of those constant ups and downs. And there's going to be months where you're making so much and you're doing so much better emotionally, but there's going to be months where you're doing terrible emotionally, doing terribly financially because patients aren't coming in, or maybe overhead's going to be a lot more this month because of the insurances and all those things. Then it just starts to becoming overwhelming and becoming to a point where it's so difficult to kind of even handle. But like I said, this doesn't happen to everyone, but at the same time, I want you to understand that being able to be emotionally stable and financially stable will put you in the right direction to be able to go through these ups and downs. Because like life, we want to be able just to get through it. Obviously, we want to succeed and be the best at it, but we want to be able to go through it and to celebrate the wins, but at the same time, for your losses, just being able to push through it and getting to those wins. And I want to stress the importance of this, and that's why a reason why I made it the fifth one is because you want to do that. And like I said, if you feel like at this point in your life you're not financially ready, you're not emotionally ready, then I don't want you to go through it with just selling the dream of you starting your own private practice, just thinking about so many wins already, but there are going to be days where it's just going to be pure crap. Where you're just sitting there not having any patience and just waiting. And sometimes you go through that. Or you look at your bank account thinking you're going to get paid, but oh, this patient didn't pay, this patient didn't pay, this claim was denied, this claim was denied, but I need to pay for my staff, and now you're dipping into your own personal savings because you need to pay for their staff because they work, but you were counting on reimbursement to come in, and now you don't have that reimbursement. Now you have to be able to pull into your emergency fund to be able to pay them. And if you're going into it not financially stable, how are you going to pay your employee? Now they're going to get mad at you, get upset at you, and how's that going to feel for you emotionally? And that's the reason why I want to point this out, is because we have to be ready for those things, and we have to anticipate certain things. So if you know that XYZ amount is going to be your basis of all of your overhead, your employees, your building, your all of those things, then have like 6 months set aside to be able to do so, because these things are going to come up. And the more that you're able to, even if you're dealing with depression, anxiety, you're dealing with all of these things, I'm sure that you're going to be more emotionally stable when you know that you have these emergency funds set aside for your patient or for your employees, or to be able to pay for these things, compared to someone that has no emergency fund and have nothing and having to close their practice because they can't afford the building, they can't afford their staff, or having let them go because they can't afford the staff, or them getting mad at you because their checks are bouncing. So many different things involved. And like I said, this is an important thing to do. So make sure you can have that emergency fund set aside. Think about all the expenses that you're going to have to pay. And if you're not, like I said, if you don't necessarily know what you're going to have to pay, definitely want to take our course, especially if you're a Psych NP, because we break that down for you. And you can think about your overhead, you can think about all those things, and save up enough money to do so in order for you to be able to survive, and being able to emotionally be ready, because there are going to be ups and downs, and making sure you're putting yourself in a good situation, especially like if you're dealing with life stressors, maybe death of the family, maybe going through relationship issues, or maybe going through all these other issues. Maybe you want to be able to kind of settle those things down before you get into a practice, because it adds on so much more stress and anxiety for certain people because of all the ups and downs, ways to do it, all the long hours that you're going to put into work to be able to get there. And you want to focus in on that, so you don't want to have all of those other things kind of bring you down along with it. And like I said, if you know that you're ready to do it, you want to do it 100%, just do things at a slower pace. Don't quit your job right away if you know you don't have too much money. Maybe keep your job and still work extra hours after hours in order for you to slowly build up. At least that way you can still have financially stability and be able to settle things down for your own practice. So something to think about. Well guys, if you made it this far, I'm so thankful for you, and I truly appreciate it, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be here without you guys, and I'm so lucky to have you guys. I hope that last video of why you should start your own private practice, and if you haven't watched it, I'll link it down below. And I hope this video was able to shed light on it. And like I said, if you're still on the fence, you're still thinking about whether or not you should start your own private practice or not, especially if you're a Psych NP or wanting to start a psych practice, reach out to me. Reach out below. So let's schedule a consultation call, or be able to look at my course. It's definitely on the cheaper side compared to so many other courses out there, so definitely take a look at it. And if anything changes, if you feel like you want to reach out or anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be more than welcome to help you out. And until next time, bye!